welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of the Davison Chat Show.
This episode of the Chat Show is dedicated to Malvern's two recent Martin Luther King Jr. humanitarian recipients, District Supervisor of Humanities, Mr. Jason Mach, and Malvern High School's ELA teacher, Mr. Tasha Reynolds. Thank you both for what you do for our Malvern students and community.
On today's episode, we have the pleasure of interviewing District Supervisor of Humanities, Mr. Mach. Let's give a huge Davison welcome to Mr. Mach.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It's fun to be here today. Thank you so much for putting this all together. And I was so happy to get an invitation to come and spend the day with you.
Mr. Mach, we are excited to have you on our show today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey in education?
Sure. I was born at a very young age. Laugh sign? Sure. I started my career as an English teacher. And I was an English teacher. I worked as an assistant principal for a while. And then I came to Malvern about 9 years ago.
Mr. Mach, as the Supervisor of Humanities, can you tell us how your role in the district helps Malvern scholars learn and grow?
Absolutely. That's a great question, too. I have the best job in the district. I have the best job in the world, I think. Because I get to work with awesome teachers, and I get to work with awesome students. And the fun part about what I do is my work with the teachers helps them go into the classroom and put the students in the best position possible to be successful, whether it's in English or social studies or building civic literacy or learning about the news. What I do is I try and get as many resources together and as many opportunities for learning for our teachers so that they can bring that learning to you.
Hi, Mr. Mach. Last week we all got to see you receive the Martin Luther King Jr. Humanitarian Award. Can you tell us how the moment felt?
Great question. It was wonderful. I was very humble by it. I was humbled by it, and I also was, really touched that the committee and that the district thought of me in such a way where I would even be mentioned in the name of a humanitarian, which is somebody who does a lot of good things for a lot of good people. So that moment I was a little bit overwhelmed. My mom and dad were there, and my son and daughter were there. So it was a really special moment for me to be able to share that with them and with everybody that came from all the schools and everybody from the community that came.
Mr. Mach, the What's in a Name project was headed by you and a wonderful group of students. Did you ever imagine the project taking off the way it did?
You want to tell you a secret? No. So I knew we were going to do a great project, and I knew that we were going to at least make people aware of the idea that we wanted to change the name of the street. I didn't really know at the time that it would really work, because there's so much that's involved with it that I had to learn about and that our students had to learn about regarding taxes and money and maps and things with the village and all these obstacles that were in our way. And I knew that we were doing something very good, and I knew that everybody would learn a lot, but I didn't really think at every moment that it would actually happen. I was hopeful that it would, and I had faith that it would, and I trusted the leadership of the village to make sure that they did the right thing. But at times I was a little bit doubtful. But even when I was doubtful, I knew that we were still doing the right thing.
Mr. Mach, we just celebrated the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King this past Monday. As you know, 67 years ago, he came to Lakeview to aid in the efforts to desegregate the schools in the Malvern district. If he was alive today, what do you think he would say about our district's commitment to his dream and work?
That's a great question. I think he would like what we've done, and I think he would tell us that we're not done yet. I think that we've done some great things. And you look around and you look at the audience and you look at the people in this room and in our schools, and we all may at times look different or celebrate different things, but then we come together as one. And I think that he would be very happy with that. But I also think that he would tell us that there's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of work to be done in our communities, and in our state, and even in our country, so that everybody can look like we do in Malvern, which is really seeing people from all different backgrounds, from all different types of houses, from all different types of families come together. I think he would say that, great job, what's next?
Mr. Mack, what do you believe a civically engaged student looks like?
It's a great question too. So civic engagement is how you get involved in the community and the things that run the community. Noticing things that go well in your community are important, but it's also important to notice things that need improvement. For example, we notice the street, but there are things even in your school or your school community that could always be better. It could be things like a traffic light, it could be things like different lunch menus, it could be things like different activities in your school or different clubs. It involves you seeing something and saying, I think we can do better with this, and I want to get involved. The person that just points out all the negative stuff, they don't really change anything. And eventually, people don't listen to them anymore. But the person that points out the negative stuff and stands behind it and has a plan to fix it, or at least to try and fix it, that's the person people listen to. So I think a civically engaged student is somebody that is able to realize where there's room for things to get better and is able to take time to come up with a plan to try and make things better, and then gets involved.
Mr. Mack, Dr. King once said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? As aspiring changemakers, what advice would you give to us as we begin our journey helping our community and others?
I would say that the best advice is to think of the things in your life that bring you joy. And then realize that no matter how small they are, not everybody has those things in their life. And to try and make change for that purpose. We take a lot of things for granted. We take a lot of things like socks for granted. But you know what? Having clean and fresh socks to put on every day, that's a pretty special thing. We might not think so because we're used to it. But I think if we think about what gives us joy, like a nice pair of socks, and think about, maybe somebody doesn't have that nice pair of socks. I think that's the way that we can really kind of look at what we do for others. See what brings us joy, and see if it's missing in someone else's life. And then be able to give them a little bit of that joy as well.
Mr. Mack, we know that you work closely with the administrators and teachers at the elementary level to create cultural learning experiences. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Sure. Basically what we wanted to do was create these events that everyone got involved on some level. So we have things like when we memorialize 9/11 and September 11th at the beginning of each school year. There are things that the elementary students do. There are things that the high school and middle school students do, but they're all around the same theme. You might be doing different stuff, but we're all learning about the same thing. And that brings us closer as a community because we're all learning the same thing, but putting it to work in different ways. And we try to do that a couple of times a year, and we've done that before with things like Martin and Ann, and we have things that are coming up next year to look forward to too. One is the anniversary of Dr. King's visit to the Malvern streets, that we want to come up with a cultural and civic learning event that really unites the community. So basically it's everybody getting involved wherever they fit in, but everybody's focused on the same overall idea.
Mr. Mack, we know that you are a huge advocate for practicing mindfulness. Is it possible that you could teach us a quick mindfulness technique?
I'd love to. All right, so everybody sit comfortably. You don't have to sit in a special position. Just sit where you won't be fidgety and where you won't move around too much. Okay? And when you're comfortable, if you're comfortable, just close your eyes a little bit. And notice your shoulders. Move your shoulders up and down. You know how all day, especially coming to school this early in the morning, you have that backpack on and you're all hunched over to try and bring that backpack to school. Let's imagine we have that backpack on right now. So everybody just take their backpack off and let your shoulders fall down away from your ears. And feel your neck go up really high like a giraffe. And that's the space we want to create. And imagine that backpack that we just put down has maybe a fight we had with our brother or sister from home. Or maybe it has something that we were upset about last night. Or maybe it has something that we were worried about for today. So let's imagine that those things are in our backpack. Now imagine yourself opening that backpack and making two piles. One pile of things we can do something about, and one pile of things we can't do anything about. And imagine we take a look at that pile of things we can do something about. And we focus hard on what we can do. So on the count of 3, I want everybody to breathe in really deep and feel your belly go all the way to your back. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in real deep. Now hold that breath and think about how you can work through that problem. And now when you exhale, breathe out really heavy and feel your belly go all the way up front. And breathe in again really deeply. And think about what parts of that problem we can change and how we can change ourselves. And then exhale again, let your belly go all the way out. Now inhale again and think about the fact that we may not be able to fix that problem today, but if we're calm, we'll be able to fix it. And then breathe out one more time. And now keep your eyes closed for another moment and continue breathing on your own. And every time you breathe in, think about how you can change the problem